Oh, so I said I'd make another video. Um, this one I'm going to talk about soil fertility, compost, aeration, compaction, and organic versus inorganic fertilizers. Um, the number one problem I run into when I see people's gardens is the garden's set up and it looks beautiful, but the plants just aren't doing their thing. And that's generally because people haven't spent enough time on soil preparation and getting the soil right, you know. That's where I say to everybody that I go, invest in compost. Compost everything, everything. Compost on top of compost. um, yeah, you know, compost is good for a number of reasons. It adds organic matter to your soil. It increases the water holding capability of your soil. It increases the fertility of your soil. It increases the pH buffering, which makes it harder for the soil's pH to swing from either acidic to alkaline. And it provides a food source for the good microbes and organisms that live in your soil, which is what you want to do. Those bugs that live in your soil are the actual fertility of your soil. They're the ones that cycle the nutrients and make them available to the plants. So when you're starting out with the garden, I really recommend just compost. You can't have enough compost. Also, just mix in anything you can find. Any organic matter will actually do. Grass clippings, cow manures, chicken manure, compost, anything. Just build your bed. What you're trying to do when you're gardening is you're trying to build your soil. So you start off with the soil that you have there in situ, like your normal garden soil. Add compost, add mulch, add some manures, add leaves, just get a broad spectrum of organic matter going into your beds over a period, and then eventually you'll hit a point where your fertility of your soil will be styling. Yeah, organic versus inorganic fertilizers. You know, you can use the inorganic fertilizer, but it's a quick fix and you'll run into problems later on down the line. These inorganic fertilizers, these granulated, mass-produced ones, our bigger problem is, one, they're produced from using natural gas and oil. So that's adding to this massive cock-up we find ourselves in. And then also those fertilizers are highly volatile, meaning they are super readily available to the plant. So you can give it to the plant, put it by the plant today, and the plant will use it. But that also means that they are super volatile and easily leached, and what that means is they run off your garden and into our rivers and into the ocean, and we all know what that's doing to the Great Barrier Reef and all the other little poor sea creatures that are dealing with these problems caused by quick fix agriculture, you know. So no, I wouldn't use any inorganic fertilizers. I hate them, actually. It also burns the soil. You can burn your plants quite easily because it's so readily available. The plant will take up too much and die. So most people, they don't actually know what quantities they're supposed to be putting on their plants. So most of the time people overdo it and then go, oh, my plant died. Why? It's because they didn't know what they were doing. So avoid them. They kill your microbial and bacterial and all the organisms that live in your soil. That is what you're trying to do. You're trying to make a thriving ecosystem in your soil, because if you got that going on, then the plants will have all the nutrients they can possibly need. So when you are making your beds in the beginning, I would recommend start preparing your beds a good 3, 4, 5 months before you plan on planting in there, because whatever you mix in, it needs a bit of time. If it's organic compounds like cow manure and chicken manure and grass and all that stuff, it needs some time for the microbes and bacteria in the soil to work on it. So you have to give yourself a few months grace before. You can't make your beds today and put in your cow manure and your compost and plant, and the next day expect everything to be thundering along. It needs a bit of time. Um, yeah, so take that into account. Then when you're making your beds, you should turn them once and then never turn them again. You can stick a fork in and loosen it, but it's quite bad to turn your soil every time you replant, to just turn it, because then you lose your soil profile and you just invert fertility. And so it's good to make the bed once and then build upon those beds. Just keep on adding mulch and layers and compost and just build the bed up until you're to a point where the bed's just multi-layered with loads of different organic things. And then in between plantings you can stick a fork in and just move it like that, and just to aerate the soil a bit, which is good. You want air, and you want oxygen in the soil. Oxygen promotes root growth. So also, once you've made your bed, you should never walk on your bed. Once that bed's made, you should avoid standing on it at all costs, because otherwise you just compact the soil. And soil compaction in today's agriculture is a massive problem. We drive these bloody tractors over our fields and compact all the soil down, and then next time we go and we have to plow the thing up, and we all know plowing just exposes all the bugs in the soil to oxygen, and then they break down all the organic matter and release into all that carbon dioxide into the soil, into the atmosphere. So agriculture is a massive cause of global warming, specifically from compaction and having to plow to loosen the soil, and that releases carbon into the atmosphere. And then what else? Oh yeah, one more, just working in your garden. When it's raining and it's super wet, it's not ideal to walk around in it, that adds to compaction. Walking on wet beds and walking around your garden when it's wet also promotes the movement of diseases around, because you touch one plant that has a disease on it and then you go and you touch another plant, and that's how you spread disease. So yeah, it's not ideal to walk around your garden when it's wet, or work in your garden when it's super wet. Yeah, I think that's all for today. So yeah, just build your beds a few months before, add as much compost and different organic contents into your bed as much as you can get. Don't walk in your beds, don't compact your beds, and have fun. Okay, yeah, I'll put up another video soon. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next. Okay, bye.